In a time when swordsmanship ruled the land, a man named Miyamoto Musashi was carving his name into history. But what if I told you that his greatest legacy wasn't his swordsmanship, but something far more profound? Rising from an era of relentless conflict, Musashi stood out, not just as a beacon of martial prowess, but also as a master strategist. In a world where the sword was a symbol of power and survival, Musashi was no ordinary warrior. He was a legendary swordsman, celebrated for his unmatched skill and revolutionary dual-blade technique. Yet, his greatest legacy lies not in the battlefields, but in the philosophy he embraced. Musashi passionately sought wisdom as much as victory. His teachings, captured in his seminal work, The Book of Five Rings, are not just strategies for martial arts, they are profound insights into the art of living itself. But Musashi, not simply a warrior, he was a thinker, a philosopher, and his teachings, which we will unravel, still echo in our minds. This legendary samurai's quest went well beyond mere physical prowess. It was a journey of the mind, of the spirit, of the very essence of being. His motivation: to understand the true nature of combat and life itself. This wasn't a quest for glory or fame. No, sought something much deeper. He wanted to unravel the enigma of existence, to dissect the dichotomy of life and death, to comprehend the complexity of nature. He yearned to master the art strategy, not just in battle, but in his sword was not just a weapon, it was an extension of spirit. His fights were not physical battles, they were spiritual tests. Musashi's thirst for knowledge was insatiable. His drive to grow, to improve, was relentless. He was a man driven by a tireless pursuit of mastery, of understanding, of truth. His thirst for knowledge was as strong as his sword arm. His path was illuminated by the wisdom of others, and he sought knowledge wherever it could be found. The teachings of various masters of martial arts, ancient and contemporary, were his guiding stars. He pored over their philosophies, their strategies, their techniques, embracing the wisdom of the old and the innovation of the new. But it wasn't just the martial artists that Musashi learned from. He delved into philosophical texts, absorbing the thoughts of great minds that spanned centuries. He studied their perspectives on life, death, and the universe, and used these insights to shape his own worldview. And it wasn't the grand ideas that shaped Musashi. He found wisdom in the everyday, in the rhythm of nature, in the simplicity of a well-cooked meal. From all these sources, Musashi gathered knowledge like a bee gathers nectar, distilling it into his own unique philosophy. In learning from others, Musashi was able to refine his own philosophy. Driven by a desire to master the way of the sword and comprehend life's deeper truths, Miyamoto Musashi decided to leave the familiar behind. He chose to embrace the unknown, to seek wisdom in the unpredictable currents of life. This was no ordinary journey, but a path of self-discovery and mastery. Journey that would demand the entirety of his being, the surrender of old ways, and the courage to face whatever lay ahead. It was a decision that required him to step out of the familiar confines of his village, to leave behind the predictability of routine, and to venture into the wilderness of the unknown. He knew the road would be fraught with challenges, the path uncharted, the destination uncertain. But he was resolved. And so Musashi set off, guided by his unwavering resolve. Musashi's path was no exception. He faced a multitude of trials, each one a stepping stone on his journey towards self-improvement. As a warrior, Musashi's physical trials were often life-threatening. His skill with the sword was tested in numerous duels, each one a dance with death. Yet, these physical battles were only a fraction of his challenges. Musashi's philosophical trials were perhaps the most daunting. He grappled with questions of morality, purpose, and the true nature of strength. He sought to understand the paradoxical relationship between life and death, peace and conflict. These philosophical battles were fought not on a physical battlefield, but within the depths of his own mind. These trials served to sharpen not just Musashi's sword, but his very spirit. Each challenge was an opportunity for growth, a chance to refine his understanding of himself and the world around him. Yet with every trial, Musashi's resolve only grew stronger. As Musashi journeyed through the landscape of wisdom and self-discovery, a looming threat began to emerge. Unseen yet palpable, it was a crisis that threatened to undermine everything he had learned and achieved. This was not a formidable opponent wielding a grueling physical trial. It was something far more profound, an existential challenge that tested the very fabric of his philosophy and resolve. It was a crisis of self, a crisis of belief. It was the internal struggle between the man he was and the man he aspired to be. Musashi, the undefeated swordsman, found himself at the precipice of doubt, staring into the abyss of his own insecurities and fears. But did he falter? No. Instead, the uncertainty, the fear, the struggle, it became his greatest teacher, his most profound lesson. In the face of adversity, Musashi stood firm. Let's plunge into the depths of Musashi's despair, where he found himself grappling with a crisis that threatened to shatter his philosophy, his spirit, his very being. This was not a battle fought with swords, but a war waged within the soul. Here was Musashi, the indomitable samurai, the master of the two-sword style, brought to his knees, not by an adversary's blade, but by the haunting specter of self-doubt and fear. It was a moment of profound introspection, a reckoning with the man he had become and the warrior he aspired to be. His philosophy, built on strength, discipline, and relentless pursuit of mastery, seemed to falter under the weight of his own humanity. Yet, it was this crucible of crisis, in the deepest pit of despair, that Musashi's spirit was tested and tempered. It was here, in the depth of crisis, Musashi found a new spark. In the throes of his crisis, Musashi found himself grappling with the very essence of his being. The path he walked, the sword he wielded, the philosophy he espoused, all seemed to waver in the face of overwhelming adversity. But within this turmoil, a revelation surfaced. Musashi realized that the essence of his philosophy was not in the sword, but in the spirit that wielded it. He understood that his journey was not merely about mastering the way of the sword, but mastering the self. This treasure was not a physical entity, but an idea, a motivation that transcended the physical realm. He discovered the concept of mushin, the state of no mind, a Zen term that refers to a mind free from thoughts of anger, fear, or ego during combat. Musashi saw this as the true path to becoming an invincible warrior. With newfound clarity, Musashi emerged stronger. Even as he found himself in the throes of his darkest hour, Musashi managed to persevere by drawing on his inner strength, resilience, and wisdom. Let's look at how he overcame this crisis. Musashi, in his wisdom, understood that the path to victory was not merely through physical prowess, but also through mental fortitude. He embraced the pain, the fear, the uncertainty, utilizing them as stepping stones to elevate his understanding of life and himself. Through this ordeal, Musashi grew, not only as a warrior, but also as a philosopher. He learned to see the beauty in struggle, the strength in vulnerability, and the wisdom in defeat. His experiences forged his philosophy, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Ultimately, it was through his trials and tribulations that Musashi was able to cultivate the essence of his philosophy. From his trials, Musashi's philosophy was born. The landscape remained the same, but he saw it with new eyes, felt it with an enlightened heart. He carried his trials and triumphs not as burdens, but as badges of honor. The mundane was now profound, the ordinary extraordinary. His life was no longer just a sequence of events, but a canvas of wisdom and lessons learned. Musashi's journey had changed him, and he was ready to share his wisdom with the world. As we reflect on his journey, we are reminded of the wisdom in his teachings and the timeless relevance they have in our lives today. In Musashi's story, we find lessons of resilience, determination, and the pursuit of excellence. His path, though unique, is a mirror of our own struggles and triumphs. It teaches us that every challenge is an opportunity to learn, every failure a stepping stone towards success, and every victory a testament to our inherent strength. His teachings remind us of the power of discipline, the importance of strategy, and the value of self-awareness. They shine a light on our ability to adapt, to learn, and to grow. They whisper the truth that in every moment, we have the capacity to shape our destiny. In Musashi's journey, we find a path to understanding ourselves, our challenges, and our potential. His story is not just a tale of a legendary samurai, but a guide to navigating the battlefield of life.